Let's start with the Marine. So I would say the Marine is pretty weak against Battlecruisers. The reason is the Marine is a ground unit and the BC has 2 attacks. The anti-ground attack deals 8 damage and the anti-air attack deals 5 damage. So the Battlecruiser is generally stronger against ground targets like the Marine. Another thing is the Marine has an attack of 6 and the BC has a base armor of 3. So the Marine just doesn't deal a lot of damage against the Battlecruiser. And of course, Marines have a range of 5 and the Battlecruiser has a range of 6. And the Battlecruiser can fire while moving. The Marine can't do that. So the Battlecruiser, even though it is slow, it can kite the Marine. So I would say the Marine is weak. It's a C tier. Next, we have these guys here. They're going into D tier, don't have an anti-air attack. And the Ghost is also weak against Battlecruisers because number 1, again, the Ghost is a ground unit, so the BC can use its stronger anti-ground weapon. Another thing is the Ghost's weapon has bonus damage against light units, but the Battlecruiser is not light. Ghost doesn't deal a lot of damage, and the Ghost's spell are useless because Snipe only works on biological targets and EMP only works on shields or energy. The Battlecruiser has neither of that, so the Ghost is also going into C tier. This guy here doesn't have an anti-air, we'll put him in D tier. The Widowmine, I would say, also is pretty weak because the Widowmine deals 125 damage, so you would need 5 Widowmine hits to kill a Battlecruiser. And another thing about the Widowmine is it has a range of 5, but the Battlecruiser has a range of 6. So as long as the BC has detection, it can kill the Widowmine without getting attacked. So I would also say the Widowmine is pretty weak. I would put it into C tier. This guy here is also a D tier, doesn't have anti-air. And then we have the Cyclone. And I think the Cyclone is a pretty strong one. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number 1, the Cyclone's lock-on ability is an ability, so it ignores armor, so the 3 base armor of the Battlecruiser is useless. Another thing is that the Cyclone with the Magfield Accelerator upgrade deals 600 total damage per lock-on, and this is actually enough to one-shot a Battlecruiser because the Battlecruiser just has 550 health. Another thing is the starting range of lock-on is 7 and the Battlecruiser range is 6 and the leash range of a lock-on is 15. That's a lot of range. So overall, I would say the Cyclone can be really strong against the Battlecruiser, especially because 1 lock-on is enough to kill 1 BC. But then again, you need a lot of micro to get full use of the Cyclone. The Cyclone is still a ground unit, so the Battlecruiser often can break the lock-on by just flying over a cliff. The Cyclone also gets one-shot by Yamato, but then again, per each Battlecruiser you get 2 Cyclones, so even if you lose 1 Cyclone to Yamato, you still have 1 left. So it's not a perfect counter, but I would say it really strong, especially if you have good micro. The Cyclone can be really strong against the Battlecruiser, A tier. Then we have this guy here, the tank. This is of course a D, and the Thor can also be pretty good because the Thor has bonus damage against massive units and the Battlecruiser is massive. The Thor also has a good anti-air range of 11 with its anti-massive attack. It outranges the Battlecruiser. But then again, the Thor is a ground unit, so again the Battlecruiser can use its stronger anti-ground weapon against the Thor. And I mean, I checked it in the unit tester and the Thor wins against the Battlecruiser on equal supply or equal cost as long as the Battlecruiser doesn't have Yamato. Once the Battlecruiser gets Yamato, the Thor loses pretty hard because Yamato is pretty efficient against the Thor because the Thor has 400 HP and Yamato deals 250 damage. So the Thor doesn't get killed, but there's also no Yamato damage going to waste. So it's okay, but it's not perfect, but it's so that I would put it into B tier. And next we have the Viking. And the Viking is very good. I would put it into S tier. And the reason is, number 1, the Viking has a bonus damage against armored, and the BC is armored, so it takes bonus damage. Number 2, the Viking is a flying unit, so the BC is forced to use its weaker anti-air weapon against the Viking. Number 3, the Viking has a range of 9, and the Battlecruiser just has a range of 6, and the Viking is faster than the Battlecruiser. And this means that the Viking can kite the Battlecruiser. And I mean, the Viking still gets one shot by Yamato, but the Viking is also cheap and easy to produce, much easier to produce than the Battlecruiser. It can be double produced with a reactor. So overall, especially because of the range of 9, the bonus damage against armored, and because it is faster than the Battlecruiser, it is really strong at kiting the Battlecruiser. It's an S tier. Next we have the Banshee. That's a D tier. It doesn't have an anti-air attack. And next we have the Liberator. This is also a very weak one, because the Liberator deals a damage of 2 times 5, and again the BC has a base armor of 3, and this means that the Liberator just deals 4 effective damage per shot against the Battlecruiser. That's very little damage. I will put it into C tier. Then we have the Battlecruiser itself. That's a B tier. And then we have the Raven. The Raven, of course, is not a fighting unit, but I think it's a really good support unit, because 2 spells are good. So the Interference Matrix hinders a unit from firing and from using abilities. So if you use Interference Matrix on a BC, the BC cannot fire, it cannot use Yamato, and it cannot use the jump ability. Very strong. And of course, the anti-armor missile, which reduces enemy armor by 2, is also good against the BC because of the high base damage of the BC. So although it is not a fighting unit, I think it's a really solid support unit. I would put it into A tier. The Planetary, of course, doesn't have an anti-air. We'll put it into D tier. Bunker is also not good, because the only way the bunker gets anti-air is if you fill it with Marines or Ghosts, and these units deal very little damage against the Battlecruiser, so it's a C tier. This thing, the Sensor Tower, is also not good, because the Battlecruiser has the jump ability, so you can't even see it on the map if it jumps into your base. And this thing, the turret, is okay, but also not perfect. So number 1, it is cheap and it has very high DPS. That's good, of course, but then on the other hand, it is a ground target, so the BC can use its stronger anti-ground weapon against the turret, and of course it gets one shot by Yamato, but it has range 7, so it outranges the basic attack of the Battlecruiser. So I would say it is solid, but not perfect. I would put it into B tier. Alright dudes, thanks for watching.